Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to just deal with a couple issues that came up from my colleagues on the other side. One, to say that Guantanamo is a recruitment tool, it may be in the eyes of some people, and I think there are good people on both sides of the issue. But before that time, there was the USS Cole before Guantanamo Bay. Before Guantanamo Bay, there's Kobar Towers. Before that, there was the embassy bombing in Tanzania. Before that, there was the embassy bombing in Kenya, where somebody from my congressional district died. There was the '93 attack on the World Trade Center, and there was 9/11. And I think to say that it's a tremendous recruitment tool is almost like saying, well, if we just shut it down, Osama bin Laden will say, you know, I really appreciate what they've done, so we're going to kind of move off and get into another occupation. There are people who want to kill us and do things, so I think it may or may not be, and there are good people on both sides, but I don't think it's accurate to say that. I think it's overstated to say that is the recruitment tool and we just shut it down.
Well, I wouldn't say it's the only recruitment tool, but I would certainly say that when you can have John McCain,
sure,
President Bush.
I don't differ. I'm just saying, but there's been such an emphasis that it is a major, and I don't think it is. There's differences of a.
It is certainly a recruiting tool. I wouldn't say it is the major recruiting tool, but it is a tool that we can take out of the hands of those who are trying to recruit people to fight us. And as I said, you know, you look at those people who say, let's close Guantanamo. Senator McCain, President Bush, Colin Powell, all have said Guantanamo should be closed.
All good people, too.
Yeah.
Secondly, on to go to the other point, on the Christmas Day bomber, there were differences there, though. I mean, the gentleman was interviewed for 50 minutes. There were differences of it. The DNI said at the hearing, and I watched the hearing, that he was never consulted. I assume it was your decision. I think that was the record, that you made the decision. The DNI said he was not.
I made the decision to do it.
Excuse me, then later said he was not informed. Secretary Napolitano said she was not informed. So it isn't just. There were some interesting things here that people were concerned about, and I don't think you had the first team on board in Detroit at that time with regard to the interviewing. So that's the second thing I just wanted to clear. Thirdly,
well, with regard to that, the people who made the determination as to whether or not to Mirandize Abdul Muttalib on the 25th, that was made by the people who were on the scene. And I don't think it's fair to say this was not the first team. I mean, the FBI agents who were there, one was an Iraq expert, one was an explosives expert, good people, trained. And I think that as we look at this whole question of, you know, how we codify this, how we, you know, arrange this, the one thing I think we should all try to agree on is that we don't handcuff the people who are trained at these kinds of things, these FBI agents, sure, these DHS agents, DEA agents, so that when they're there and trying to make these on-the-scene determinations, they don't have to worry about what's Washington going to think about my...
Sure, no, I understand that, but that gets back to my original. The Hague team was not really involved. Secondly, by having the Hague team out there...
Oh, I'm sorry, the Hague team. I thought you said the A team. I'm sorry.
The Hague team was not really involved. Thirdly, it was Christmas Day, and it's nothing wrong with people wanting to be off on Christmas Day. If you looked at the interview on 60 Minutes, the FBI agent Pirro, his identification and understanding of the head of Saddam, he met with him, he understood culture. It probably would have been better to bring in your top person who understands Nigerian culture, the top person who understands, and maybe they were out on vacation or with their family. That's not bad. I'm not criticizing that. But that was my point, is it was Christmas Day, a spur of the moment, and you do have some very good people in the Justice Department and very good people in the FBI who, had they been there, and perhaps somebody from the FBI, it could have been a little bit different. And that was the point I wanted to make.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I mean, I think the operation on the 25th was done well. I think it was done even better post-December 25th in the interaction that we had with Abdul Muttalib. But I think there are things that we can learn from December the 25th, and we need to make sure that we do it better every time.
Sure. Thirdly, before I get to two last questions, on the bin Laden thing that my colleague asked from Mr. Culberson, you sort of dismissed it. You sort of brushed it aside, kind of a bump and run and move off. The reality is you may very well catch him and he very well may be alive. And well, you know, but we don't know. We don't know a lot of things. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. But if you do catch him, and I think the concern is that you may very well be setting a precedent with the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed case, beheading Daniel Pearl, killing 3,000 people. The precedent that you're setting there, that if you should capture Osama bin Laden alive, you may very well be setting a precedent. So my question to you is, if you catch Osama bin Laden alive, will he go to an Article III court or will he go to a military court?
I'm not trying to dodge this one. I just don't think the possibility of capturing him alive
but let's just say, but we can't.
Infinitesimal.
Okay. But
either he will be killed by us or he will be killed by his own people so that he is not captured by us. We know that.
But, Attorney General, I respectfully, that was not a trick question. It was sincerely, what if we do, though, catch him alive? That's the question.
And what I'm saying is that, and maybe I was being a little flip with Mr. Culberson, and perhaps I shouldn't be about reading Miranda rights to his corpse, because I think that's what we're going to be dealing with. He is not going to be alive. Well,
but the question was, what if he is alive? And I think the gentleman raised a legitimate case. And from my perspective, our government is setting a precedent with the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in a civilian court in New York City, and I think that's the real danger. Two other questions I wanted to ask you. The Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004 expanded the OSI jurisdiction beyond Nazi-era cases. We had hearings when I was the chairman of this committee. Since that change, how many human rights violators have you successfully prosecuted or removed from the country? I'm continually seeing, I saw the fellow interviewed the other day from Somalia. We're finding all these bad people are showing up in the country, people who have been involved in a genocide in Rwanda where 700,000 people have been killed. We're finding, you know, Charles Taylor's son came in, Chucky Taylor. Fortunately, the administration did get him. But can you tell us, and maybe this is not the play, can you commit that you're aggressively looking, and how many have you prosecuted, but could you have somebody come by and give me the real information, an inventory of all of these people who have been involved in genocide and crimes against humanity that are now living in the United States? You know where they are, that you're aggressively going after them to at least deport them.
Yeah, I mean, I can arrange a briefing so that I can share with you what the exact numbers are, because I don't know them. But one of the things that we're trying to do is to, and we need congressional support for this, I believe.
What support do you need?
To merge the Office of Special Investigations with its counterpart that is responsible for the prosecutions of people like Chucky Taylor, because we think that if we put those two groups together in our criminal division, that we can be more effective at getting at the very people that you are
I will offer that as a motion in the markup, and just to tell the gentleman from West Virginia, I will offer that as a motion. If your people can come up and give me the language, and I'll see if I can get that passed. And I'll also introduce a bill that in case the Judiciary Committee doesn't, I can look for another vehicle too. Because I think we have an obligation to those people who've been persecuted, who have gone through this, to have these people that they then see living in the United States to be prosecuted and deported.
No, and I agree with you, Mr. Wolf, and to the extent that we can work together on that, I would appreciate it. That would
be good. Find a good thing to work together. That would be good. The last thing is I want to go back to the prison rape thing. This is an issue I care deeply about, and